Hello and welcome back to Spirit Mom. Today at Spirit School, we're going to discuss ghosts of the past and how they can haunt you in your everyday life. Okay, to get started, we'll talk just about the brain, the physical, boring brain, not the actual spiritual world. Everything's connected, but right now, just the brain. It lives in this automatic system most of the time, if not all the time, and it does things automatically. It's how we can function and don't have to relearn stuff every day, so it does have a point. Well, when we go throughout our day repeating our lives, same in, same out, that's because that's what our brain knows, and it's just going to project that onto the future. This is all assuming we're not consciously intervening to change that. We become these robotic things, just repeating life from our past. Okay, well, let's say we have bad things in our past. What do you think that's going to do? That's going to cause us to reflect out and create bad things. And this is just talking from a brain level. There is higher vibrational manifesting levels and spiritual laws levels that are also factors that I usually talk about a lot. But it's key to know that just on the physical level, the brain, because what is above is below, right? So it is spiritual. Everything is. Because what is above is below. Everything reflects the higher and the lower, right? That's part of one of the universal laws. So it is spiritual in that sense, but it's also just very physical. This is a brain I'm imagining right here. It's very physical. It's very dense. It needs a lot of work to change it when you're just human to human, like human brain consciousness to human brain unconsciousness. It's very slow moving, it's very sticky, it's very dense. This is why when we take things to a spiritual level, miracles happen and things change very quickly. But we also want to keep in mind the physical brain and keep in mind doing different physical things will help the physical brain move along. So every day you get up and you do, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, whatever your routine is, change it. If you write with your right hand, try writing with your left. Like there's all these different exercises you can do to change your brain neural pathway system and to get it firing and wiring in a different direction. Okay, so when we take that into consideration on just changing our mundane, boring lives, now we're introducing ghosts of our past, ghosts that are mistakes we've made. Shame and guilt are the big ticket bad items I've mentioned before because they create. There's a physical effect in the brain because the neural pathways are there leading you to every time you see your car, you remember the time you backed up and hit that other car. And every time you think about a club, you remember that time you got drunk at the work party and made that mistake. And every time you look at your glass, you remember that there used to be two, but you dropped it and smashed it. You see, so every time you're reminded of a mistake you made, when you physically see that object, it's physically reminding you of a mistake, which is physically going to cause your brain to continue those patterns. It's a perpetual cycle of shame and guilt that's just repeating and repeating on a physical level, and then spiritually that's going to make you manifest more shame, more guilt, more shame, more guilt. And you're going to create actual elements that will follow you around. As you physically create these things, they will spiritually manifest. And they could have possibly manifested the day it happened because it was that traumatizing, or you could cause them to manifest as you repeat the cycle. You will cause it to take on a life of its own because this is why the original sin, the Adam and the Eve thing, we have a proclivity to sin. We have a proclivity to wallow in self-doubt and shame, and that's not our fault. We were created that way. Why we were created that way, there's lots of rumors. Aliens wanted us to be slaves. Who knows? Adam and Eve, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily matter why. There's scientists that are trying to fix our telemeters and all our DNA, and so maybe we'll get there one day. We can spiritually alter our DNA. That has been proven. We can change our minds and change the way our brain paths go. That has been proven. So we can also change the way we relate to a story. So anytime we think of that time we backed out and hit that car, instead of seeing it and going, oh no, you see it and go, I'm gonna be careful this time when I back out. Or when we think about a club, although you're probably, time has passed and you think about drinking too much, I'm not gonna drink with work people ever again, or I'm not gonna drink ever again. Or you see that cup and how it broke. That one you could just be like, well, that was a physical object. It was an accident. It's okay. I'll get a new glass set one day, or I'll be more careful where I put my glass. It could be anything, right? A fight you got in with your mother. Oh, I just make sure I don't mention this trigger again to her, or let go of the guilt. Humans fight all the time. It's normal because you have a proclivity to sin. Well, so do they. We don't need to be doing the blame gaming and, again, recreating those neural pathways for negativity. We'll take it to a positive level. And what this does is it diminishes those ghosts that follow us around. Those ghosts that when you're sitting there, they'll start whispering in your ears all the mistakes you've made. I can't believe you did that. Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Or sometimes, what's wrong with them? And they'll make you mad at other people. What's wrong with them? And you'll let that energy go, because there is negative energies that get attached to you. They really do. But you really can get rid of them. You really can control the situation. And funny enough, this is one time where you can fix a spiritual situation with your physical mind. You can make your physical mind make those, because you're going to make your automatic behavior change. So you'll be giving and feeding those negative things less and less and less as we change the reaction. So we're backing out. We're not like, oh God, I can't believe it. We're going to be like, I'm more careful. Look how awesomely careful I am. I'm so great. And eventually we can take that to not mentioning it all, and then take that to just forgetting it ever happened altogether. Forgiveness. The Jesus thing, getting fully immersed in baptizing water. I mentioned this before. Water is a crystal. When we are imbuing that water with our spiritual intentions, our physical intentions to forgive, to be reborn, to be purified, that has profound magical effects for real. You pop out of there, you are forgiven, you are healed. So then next time you think about that bad thing you did, you go, I was forgiven. You could do this yourself. Line a bathtub with crystals. Say a poem over the water. Let this purify me. Let this heal me. If you want to reach out, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, let this heal me. Let this forgive me. Because that magical power that He imbues, that the magical power that He holds, that He presents down onto the rest of us, it's mainly becoming and is forgiveness. He died for our sins. That is powerful, energetic magic to tap into. The forgiveness, because then you can let things go. That physical brain will hold on to that. I've been forgiven. I've been forgiven. Anytime you want to let that guilt and shame take over your life again, I have been forgiven. And this is it. Going away, going away. And it'll take some cycling, taking some time. But then next thing you know, you might be like, wow, it was months since because it might pop up again. You're like, wow, I haven't thought about that in months. And you'll notice that your whole life will get better and better and better as we let go of these guilt and shame demons, entities, ghosts that follow us around, neural pathways in our brain, as we start to rewire them into different directions, different locations, and change our life physically and spiritually. Mind, body, soul, they all move perfectly together. That's what they want. They're not necessarily doing that, but when we get them doing that, that's when life becomes beautiful. That's when life becomes magical. And when you wake up every day happy and satisfied, because they don't fight each other. Your soul's not going, oh, this sucks. And your mind's not like, oh no, shame and guilt. And your physical body's not taking on the diseases that manifest when you have a bad soul and mind connection. The physical body will just naturally heal and get better when you make the mind and the soul better. That's just the way they work. The Holy Trinity, mind, body, soul. There's lots of Holy Trinity things that work together, but mind, body, soul is probably the most important one you want to keep in mind for your life, your incarnation here. You want that to be pure. And shame and guilt are not pure. They're the opposite of it. So definitely don't do things that are going to create more shame and guilt in the future. But if you have shame and guilt from your past, let it go. And we let it go by physically re-altering that mind, by not giving more negative energy to these things that follow you around, trying to make you create more shame and guilt, and just without even doing anything new. You could be eaten alive by something you did 20 years ago, and it might not even be that big of a deal. This is why they used to, confess to priests or confessing to your therapist, because once you say it out loud to another person, that other person will be like, that wasn't that bad. Like, that's fine. Like, it's okay. I forgive you, right? That sense of forgiveness you can give to yourself, but if you need it from somebody else, that's why writing it down can also help let that go. When we write things down, it helps, you want to let, any kind of letting it go, the letting it go process, right? We talked about the heart chakra filter system, but sometimes when it's a really old stuck energy, you need to do different tips and tricks to rewire that mind, because when it's stuck in your past, it's part of your neural pathway system. Because it's easier to filter through something that just happened and not make it part of your neuron system. But once it's in there, now we have to think of creative ways to get rid of it. You can get rid of it though. I promise you that. You can get rid of it. It doesn't matter what you did. You can be forgiven for anything and everything. That was one of the biggest messages that Jesus had to say, is you can be forgiven for everything and anything. We want to keep a pure life, not because we won't be forgiven, but just because it's easier. That way you don't need to bother getting forgiven for all kinds of things, because you're not doing anything new to be forgiven about. We're keeping our energetic field cleaner, and we're keeping our karmic footprint clearer. Because another thing, if you want to get into new lives, is that way you make sure you don't need to do it again next time, right? You don't need to do it again next time, because if you did something wrong and you don't fix that in this lifetime, you're gonna have to repeat it. So that's why you never want to give up on a hard situation. You never want to be like, oh, I did that bad thing, I'm done forever, this is it, this is my lot in life, I can never be forgiven or let go of this one. Yes, you can. And even if other people don't forgive you, let's say you do tell people and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. What's wrong with you? Guess what? You can still forgive yourself. It doesn't matter. They're just humans. Sometimes it helps if they offer you that forgiveness, right? But if they don't, you can still be forgiven. It doesn't matter, because humans are not the authority on anything. And guess what? Neither are, when we get into higher beings and positive beings, they might be higher on the rung than us, but the ultimate thing that matters is the all. And what is the all? The all is mind. So your mind can control your entire reality, okay? Never forget that. This was an important lesson to keep ourselves energetically clear. Good luck clearing yourself, people. Goodbye for now, Spirit Mom.